And he was on the ground panicking, screaming, like, you know, thinking he's gonna die. So me and one of the other guys were plugging up his bullet holes. My name is Ryan Smith, and I've been tattooing since 1996, which I don't even know how long ago that was, but it was a while ago. My math is pretty bad. I'll let you guys do the math on that one. I kind of started tattooing on Jeremy. He was like probably one of the first people I tattooed back in the day. First one to have faith in my artistic abilities. Started Sullen, you know, with the idea that we wanted to do something that was our own, and we didn't really know at the time what path we would take. It was kind of more centered around the idea that we didn't want to work a 9 to 5, and we didn't want to wear suits and ties and all that. You know, it was a struggle, you know, to find our identity, because we didn't even really know what it was, even though we thought we knew what it was when we started. We didn't. And it wasn't until we started going to tattoo conventions that we realized that that's really where we belonged. And that's kind of when we really created the brand, was that first tattoo convention where we set up our booth and started selling our clothes and realized that there were people like us out there. But we didn't really know what we identified with. There was no label for it at the time, you know? So we just kind of said, you know, we're gonna identify ourselves as our own thing. And really kind of moved away from action sports and just really moved heavily into ingraining the brand and its messaging into tattooing, which is something that really made the most sense. And that's really when Sullen became a brand. After about 5 years of doing it wrong. It was funny because, you know, this whole time I've been a tattooer. You know, artwork in the beginning wasn't tattoo at all. It was more icon or like type driven. And Jeremy was at my apartment late one night, and we were just kind of scrambling to get a catalog finished for a trade show, and he saw one of my tattoo designs sitting on a sketchbook on my coffee table, and was like, hey, this would make a dope design. And I was like, no, that's a tattoo for somebody. And he's like, no, just try it, just put Sullen in there, and, you know. And so we did it, and that's kind of where the whole hand-drawn aesthetic really came to be the focus, because for a long time, I mean, we've always had art in the line, you know, but it was never the focus. And that's when we realized that that's where our focus needed to be. I met Big Gus at Muse Ink. I used to go to what used to be called OC Ink House, that was owned by Franco Vescovi a lot. I met Franco. He was one of the first artists that I met, and at the time, Big Gus worked there. But every time I would go there, I never would see him. I never ran into Gus. He was always never there when I was there. And so finally we met up. I think it was the first Muse Ink. He introduced himself, and we hit it off immediately. Made it a goal to draw together. So he came to the warehouse and he had a bunch of images, a bunch of poses that he was really excited about and wanted to collaborate on an image with me. And I'm a huge fan of collaborating with artists. I love the idea of drawing together and learning. And so we started drawing these images of angels, and right away when we finished them, we knew that there was something, because, you know, like we were both really amped on it. Like, you know, sometimes an image has a soul, you know, that you just know it'll resonate, you know. And I think like the most successful designs that we produced are ones that people can relate to, and that image ended up becoming, you know, our #1 selling shirt for many years. And it led Gus and I to do many more collaborations based on the same subject matter, you know, but it was that one that kind of started it all off. That design was the Fallen Angel. We plan on doing a couple new ones soon, but he's real busy right now, so one of these days we'll get back around to it. I started designing tattoos for my friends when I was very young, like 14. And as we started going into maturity, friends started getting real tattoos. And so they naturally came to me for the artwork. After a handful of these tattoos that I would send off with people, this one artist was like, "Hey man, you know, the guy that designed this, he should design tattoo designs, you know, he's a good artist." I immediately got on the phone with the artist and I was like, "No man, I don't want to just draw them, I want to do them." And he's like, "All right, well, the guy that owns the shop's not here right now, but if you call back, you know, I'll see what I can do." And so I would call back for months, you know. I think I called back, like, I didn't want to be a nuisance, but I think I called like once a week for 4 months, and he finally said, "Yeah man, the guy said he'd meet with you." And he said, "Come on Thursday with all your drawings, you know, maybe he'll give you a shot." And so I rounded up all the art that I had and went to this tattoo shop, and it was pretty simple. He's like, "Yeah, you start tomorrow." And I was like, "Sweet." And so I started a very traditional apprenticeship, you know, just cleaning flash sheets and picking cigarette butts out in front of the street and making sure all the artwork from the flash was in the right place, and all the artists had clean needles. At the time I started, people used to reuse their needles, so I always had to clean everybody's needles. And I worked there for about 4 months, and then one of the artists there was like, "Hey, I'm going to this new shop in Tempe, Arizona, called Club Tattoo, and I really like this woman." So she took me with her and said I could apprentice under her there, and so I ended up finishing my apprenticeship at Club Tattoo and worked there until I ended up moving out here to go to art school. That's really how I started my professional tattooing career. Tattooing on my terms, you know, like obviously there's no way I could tattoo and creatively direct a brand both full time. Tattooing requires so much more of your time and attention. It's very mentally and physically draining, you know, and so I tattoo just pretty much exclusively on my close friends, and only a couple times a month. If I tattoo, it's most of the time late at night. So trying to balance, you know, tattooing, which I love to do, as long as I have a good enough time in between to where it doesn't like wear me out, because you can only put so much into a day. And so when I do get to tattoo, I really enjoy it because it's such a difficult thing. You know, you don't want to, it's like you almost have to mentally prepare to tattoo, you know. If you have a day off and somebody asks you to tattoo, you really have to kind of work into getting, at least for me anyway, you have to work into becoming ready. Like I have to know, at least, I like to try to give myself at least a a day or so to prepare if I know I'm going to tattoo somebody, just to kind of get in that zone, because I think, you know, if you don't, then you're doing a disservice to the person that you're tattooing, you know? This whole brand for me is really about, you know, celebrating artwork that a lot of times doesn't get celebrated. You know, tattoo art is as relevant an art form as any, but people, you know, see the word tattoo in front of it and they lessen it, when, you know, we've always been a firm believer in the opposite. You know, I think that, you know, even to tattoo, you know, it's a tool for art that's incredibly difficult to use and to master. And so when you see people and you see their tattoos, you take it for granted that it starts with a tool, and that they have to master that tool and to master that art for it to be an effective image, you know? We need to continue to tell that story, and I think we need to continue to, you know, be the voice as much as we can for the artists, and promoting them and promoting the art of tattooing. And my focus is going to be just making sure that, you know, we continue to be that voice or that microphone for tattoo artwork.
Ryan Smith, a friend of the shooting victims, was inside the crime scene apartment when the argument got out of control.
I saw my friend bending over, getting shot. I saw my other buddy holding his arm because he had been shot. And then I saw my other friend crouching down because he had been shot 3 times.
And where was the gunman?
They never came inside. They shot through the door, and they were asking them to open the door. They went to open the door, and then they just started firing bullets into the door, and that's when they got hit.
Ryan talked me into moving out to Arizona with him. Me and my other good friend, actually mine and Ryan's good friend Eric, along with another guy Ross, we got an apartment out there while we were going to school. It was Halloween night, and we went to a couple of Halloween parties, and I was fighting the flu, so we came back to our apartment, and I went to bed kind of early, and an altercation happened out front with one of my roommates. A fight broke out, he got jumped. You know, some of the other guys in the apartment came outside and, you know, stuck up for him. These guys, you know, ran off saying some things that kind of had all the guys aware.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a weird feeling, you know, like it all happened so fast, you know, like it was more than just a brawl, and not only that, but it was in front of our house.
Yeah, the one roommate came and woke me up, and he, you know, pretty much like, Jeremy, get up, we just got in a fight. So I woke up, and my one roommate was, you know, bloodied up, and he was pissed off, and he's yelling. He's like, fuck this place, I'm out of here, I'm moving out, I'm out of here tomorrow. And everyone's like, calm down, calm down. And literally 15 seconds later, there's a knock on the door. You know, someone banging on the door, boom, 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 boom. You know, you're assuming it's a security guard. You know, I went to go answer the door, and I was literally, I feel like my hand was about a foot and a half away from the doorknob before opening it. And these guys, they started shooting through our front door. You know, you hear that noise. For that first split second, I thought it was firecrackers, but then I started seeing bullets spraying through our front door, and we had a glass right next to the door, so it was literally, the blinds were getting shot up, bullets are coming through, and I turned to run in one of the guys' bedrooms, thinking these guys are coming in to kill us all. When they stopped shooting, I ran out in the living room, and Ryan was actually on the phone with 911. He called and said, hey, these guys said some stuff, don't feel safe, they're saying they're coming back to kill us or whatever. So that's an intense phone call right there. When we went to court, hearing that tape was gnarly. They ended up shooting 3 of our friends, and so I ran out, and I got one friend on the ground, and he got shot in his lower back, and then right above his ass. And he was on the ground, panicking, screaming, like, you know, thinking he's gonna die. So me and one of the other guys were plugging up his bullet holes. then I ran to the back to check on everyone else, and we had our other friend, Jason, who got shot through his forearm and it shattered out his elbow, and he's in the bathroom with blood squirting out his arm. And then at that same time, our other friend just had realized that he got shot. It went through his chest and out his back and then through his wrist, and he fell on his back. So I got 3 friends with bullet holes in them, and we're just trying to plug them up. And